Two of the top selling smartphones in the world are these two guys, the iPhone 6s Plus and the Galaxy Note 5. Samsung and Apple have been very inspired by one another recently, and now users have very similar devices at a glance, but when you dive a little deeper, these two phones couldn't be any more different. Hey everybody, it's Crystal Laura, and this is the iPhone 6s Plus versus the Galaxy Note 5. Okay, so first, let's get through the design specs. The iPhone 6s Plus offers a 5.5-inch screen, while the Note 5 offers a bigger 5.7-inch screen, yet the Note 5 is a little smaller. It's shorter by 5mm and less wide by almost 2mm. Now, the reason for this is all thanks to the rather large bezels on the top, bottom, and even sides of the iPhone 6s Plus. The phone has a rather large footprint for a device with a 5.5-inch screen, but there is some sense into it because Apple believes in a symmetrical design in terms of size. So no matter which way you hold the phone, the top bezels will match the bottom bezels with that circular home button right in the middle. However, most people seem to prefer a smaller size device rather than that symmetrical design, so we'll lean a little more towards the Note 5 when it comes to one-handed use. Although let's face it, both of these phones are huge, and you're going to struggle to use either one-handed. What it really comes down to is feel in the hand and the backing of the phones. The back of the 6s Plus is made from a nice and smooth aluminum, while the back of the Note 5 is made entirely out of glass. Both look very beautiful in their own ways, and it's really down to individual preference as to what looks better. But both materials no doubt have some pros and cons. First off, both phones are very slippery. It's really hard to say which is more slippery than the other. Your fingers may seem to ever so slightly stick a little better to the glass of the Note 5, but the difference between the two are very small. The Note 5 is a little thicker than the iPhone 6s Plus at 7.6mm. However, the 6s Plus is a little heavier at 192 grams over the Note 5's 171 grams. And overall, this mixed with the larger length and width of the 6s Plus makes the Note 5 feel a little more secure in your hand. And although the 6s Plus's backing doesn't help make the phone any less slippery, it stays a lot more clean and nicer looking throughout the day over the Note 5's fingerprint magnet glass backing. Also, with the Note 5 still being a big slippery phone, it gives users one more side of their phone to worry about cracking. The Note 5 has a little LED indicator at the top to let you know when you have a notification, which is very helpful for knowing if you're all caught up, even if you're across the room from your phone. The 6s does not, so you'll find yourself clicking that home button every once in a while to make sure you didn't miss anything. When you take a look at the sides of these phones, then you really start to see some similarities. Really tactile volume buttons on the left sides, with the power buttons being on the right, although the power button on the iPhone seems to be quite high, and this makes your fingers stretch a little bit extra. But you do get a very nice volume/vibrate slider here on the 6s Plus, which is very helpful. The headphone jacks are both on the bottom left with your charging ports in the middle. And the Note 5 has a micro USB port, while the 6s Plus has Apple's Lightning cable port. Now that Lightning cable is reversible, which makes things easier for us, but it does take longer to fully charge the 6s Plus at around 2.5 hours. Or you can use the iPad charger to cut that down by around an hour. But the Note 5 is capable of fast charging, which can charge the phone from 0 to 50% in about 30 minutes, or 0 to 100 in a little over an hour and 15 minutes. Wireless and fast wireless charging are also available with the Note 5, which is a very nice addition. And as for the speakers, they're both located on the bottom right, which isn't the best place for them, but it isn't the worst either. And overall, they both get very loud. The iPhone 6s Plus speakers seem a bit more clear, whereas the Note 5s tend to compress a little bit too much, but that does help certain sounds cut through a bit more. And again, it's up to preference, but I do like the crisper sound found on the 6s Plus. Like I said before, you do get a bigger screen size on the Note 5 at 5.7 inches over the iPhone 6s Plus's 5.5 inches. Both of these screens are very beautiful to look at, although they are made with different technologies. The iPhone 6s Plus's screen is more of a standard LCD panel, while the Note 5 packs an AMOLED panel. So where the 6s Plus has a white backlight underneath its display to light it up, the Note 5's AMOLED panel relies on individual pixels choosing when to light up and what their specific brightness should be. So the Note 5 has much deeper blacks over the 6s Plus's screen, and it doesn't even light up portions of the screen that are true black. However, AMOLED screens aren't without their faults. Whites seem a little pinkish compared to the 6s's screens. And while AMOLED screens are known for not getting too bright, the Note 5 actually proves otherwise. Both phones seem to get equally as bright. However, the Note 5 packs in more pixels per inch with its Quad HD display over the 6s Plus's Full HD display. Both panels are very sharp, but everything, including colors, seem to pop a bit more with the AMOLED display of the Note 5, giving it a slight edge over the 6S Plus. Both phones offer very similar hardware features for the most part. We have fingerprint scanners located on both home buttons. However, the iPhone 6S Plus's scanner is light years ahead of the Note 5's. But that's not saying the Note 5 scanner is bad. I think it's actually better. Wait, did I just contradict myself? I guess not really. Here's the deal, my friends. The iPhone 6S's fingerprint scanner is insanely fast, much faster than the Note 5's, but it may be too fast. If you have the scanner enabled, say goodbye to your lock screen. With one tap of the home button, no matter how fast, your phone will unlock. Now that's pretty impressive and it works almost every time, but that makes viewing your lock screen only possible by hitting the power button that's high up on the right side. The Note 5 fingerprint scanner isn't as fast as the 6S's, but that makes viewing your lock screen easier, so that's good. But really, the iPhone 6S Plus has a better fingerprint scanner, but it can cause some problems. Both phones do have NFC, but the iPhone's is locked to Apple Pay only. Now on the Note 5, you have the freedom to use NFC with whatever you want. And Samsung has its own payment system too, Samsung Pay. And it's accepted at more places than Apple Pay. It works by sending a signal to the card reader to make it think that a card has swiped. Overall, I think you're going to feel more confident when purchasing something with your Note 5 rather than the 6S. Now each phone does have their own huge trick up their sleeve. For the Note 5 is the S Pen, which has tons of added features to it this year. You can quickly take notes by pulling the pen out and saving it once you put the pen back in its slot, crop areas of screenshots and add doodles for easy sharing. You can create long screenshots as well by continuously capturing long passages to stitch them together. The Note 5 makes dropping down ideas and sharing ideas effortless, and it can be a lot of fun. As for the iPhone 6S, we have a new technology that hasn't been found in a phone until this year. 3D touch. So iPhone 6S's are pressure sensitive now, and that allows for hidden menus to be shown when pressing with a bit of force. This helps keep menus and home screens looking clean while having a lot of function. Peek and Pop is also a nice feature that comes along with 3D touch, where previewing an image is as easy as pressing a little harder on the screen. And when you want to jump from preview to full image, just press even harder and you'll pop right in. This works for emails and such, as well as animating photos and even game controls. 3D touch could really be something that turns into a game changer for the industry. But for right now, I would say if you're somebody who will regularly use the S Pen, then yeah, the Note 5 has a greater unique feature. But not everybody who owns a Note 5 will use the S Pen, whereas everybody who uses an iPhone 6S will most likely incorporate 3D touch into their normal habits. Now on paper, the Note 5 seems to have a lot more potential over the iPhone 6S Plus. We have different types of processors, the dual-core Apple A9 versus the quad-core Exynos 7420. The Note 5 has double the RAM at 4 gigs and a bigger battery by 250 mAh, but really both phones seem to perform just as well as one another, even with the iPhone having less capability on paper. The iPhone 6S Plus never stuttered or slowed down, no matter what we threw at it. Games ran very well without any pauses and barely any stutters. And really, lots of the time, the iPhone 6S Plus loaded a game like Asphalt 8 a couple seconds faster than the Note 5. The iPhone's hardware is perfectly optimized for iOS, which makes for great performance. Now, while the Galaxy S6 wasn't so much perfectly optimized, with its 3 gigs of RAM causing some issues, Samsung didn't play around this time and made up for it with an extra gig found here on the Note 5. And now we have a very competitive experience when it comes to performance. Apps open immediately, and dipping in and out of recent apps works without any hesitation. With its faster animations, really make the phone feel extra snappy. And games load very fast, but like I said before, most instances a little slower than the iPhone 6S Plus. But once you're in the game, everything is very smooth with high frame rates. Overall, you're going to have a wonderful experience getting work done on either one of these devices. Even with the iPhone's smaller battery, it lasts a long time, and in most cases, longer than the Note 5's 3000 mAh battery. At the end of the day, both phones were usually still alive, with the 6S Plus having at least 10 to 15% more battery. But you can expect great battery life on either device. And although the iPhone 6S Plus can last you longer, with wireless charging and fast charging on the Note 5, I'd say this is a draw. Now we could talk for days about all these other things, and this is what can make switching from phone to phone so hard. The iPhone 6S Plus runs iOS 9, while the Note 5 runs Android Lollipop 5.1.1 out of the box. Both operating systems master different things. The iPhone is purposely simple, but maybe a little too limited for some users. The home screen is still a grid of icons that can only be rearranged and put into folders. And even then, you're not allowed to put any free spaces between these icons, which is a little silly given how hard it is to reach the top of the screen with one hand. However, on Android, you are free to place these icons wherever you would like, most likely at the bottom for easy reaching. We also have widgets which are accessible on both, although on iOS, they are stuck to the notification pull down, while on Android, they can be moved around the home screen and resized. And after years of waiting, iPhone users can finally download third-party keyboards, although in iOS 9, they are still very buggy and almost unusable. And of course, third-party keyboards and other third-party downloads, like different launchers and icon packs, are available for tinkering within Android. In the end, you have the choice to change your phone the way you want it, whether for the better or for the worse. The choice and freedom is there, which may make users lean more towards the Note 5. Both the Note 5 and 6S Plus take some gorgeous photos. The Note 5 has a 16 megapixel camera, while the 6S Plus has 12. Optical image stabilization are found in both, along with 4K video and slow-mo. Both camera apps are designed to be very simple and allow for pointing and shooting a nice photo with no extra hassle. There is more settings found in the Note 5, however, like full manual mode. And you can easily launch the camera app on the Note 5 in just seconds by double tapping the home button, which we love. On the iPhone, you have a shortcut too, but like I said before, thanks to that very fast fingerprint scanner, well, you're gonna be forced to use the power button. The majority of the time, it's gonna be hard to pick a winner between these two. Both offer very sharp details and nice colors. But the overall theme here is more realistic colors and less sharpening found on the 6S Plus, and more saturated colors with more sharpening found on the Note 5. Does that mean the 6S Plus is better? Well, not really. Again, it's sort of up to preference. Naturally, when looking at a Note 5 photo with that extra pop in colors, you would prefer it over the more toned down 6S Plus picture, especially when showing somebody that picture on that nice AMOLED display. With the lower aperture found on the Note 5, you get some better looking close-up shots with some nice depth of field. And this also helps in low light as well. I always love phones that can shoot in a 16:9 aspect ratio with their full sensor, like the Note 5, while the iPhone 6S Plus shoots at a 4:3 aspect ratio with its full sensor. Also, with this higher megapixel count, when zooming in, you get some extra detail, although it's very minimal. The selfie camera, without a doubt, is better on the Note 5. Mostly due to its wide-angle lens. You can fit so many things into the frame, and really, it's hard to understand why the iPhone hasn't adopted this wide-angle selfie lens yet. The Note 5's front-facing camera does tend to smoothen the skin too much, even with the beauty mode off, which can be annoying. Since these cameras are really so neck and neck, it's hard to lean towards just one, but due to my personal preference towards saturated photos and that wide-angle selfie cam, I would go with the Note 5's camera. I know I've said this a lot, but it's hard to pick between these two devices because most of their differences comes down to personal preference. Just over a year ago, the Note 4 had some huge advantages over the iPhone 6 Plus with its expandable storage and removable battery, but the iPhone 6 Plus also has some huge advantages as well, like a superior camera and smooth software experience. And this year, the Note 5 lost its previous advantages and improved on its weaknesses to really make these two phones such a close match. It's a tough choice to pick one, but at least you can have the comfort of knowing that whichever phone you end up picking, you made a good choice. Well, that's about it for this comparison video. Thank you very much for watching, and comment below and let me know which of these phones you prefer. Also, leave a like if you enjoyed this video because that really helps us out. Don't forget to check out these other cool videos on the side here and click up there for our Android Authority app. And last but certainly not least, head on over to androidauthority.com because we are your source for all things Android.